it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial, and today we are painting yet another new Space Marine. Yes, we are painting the brand new Terminator Chaplain. We've had a Captain, had a Librarian, a Chaplain was inevitable. So, he's been sent to me early by Games Workshop to build up and paint for all of you, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing today as a Salamander. So, it doesn't really matter what chapter, because for all chaplains the armor color is pretty much always going to be the same. But what we're going to do is we're going to firstly take some Black Legion and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the armor. And I don't think I've mentioned it, he has been primed in Grey Seer. So we're going to get this over the top of all of the armor, excluding this shoulder and his helmet. You can of course aim to avoid any trim should you wish to, but it won't ultimately matter because we're going to go over that with a metallic anyway. So if you do get some of this on there, it's all good. So, with all of that Black Legion all applied, we have one addendum in that we didn't apply any Black Legion over this knee pad as well, because we want to add a little bit more of the green in there to identify him as a salamander. And yes, salamanders typically will have black shoulder pads. However, I've often found that with things like this, when it's already an all black miniature, you add that chapter color, the main chapter color in there, just to show that allegiance a little bit. And because we don't have any kind of trim around the shoulder pad like you would on, say, a Stern Guard or a Death Watch Veteran, there's no way of getting the green in otherwise. So you use the green on the shoulder pad, and that's what we're going to do. So the color we're going to be using is Karandras Green, and we're just going to apply this over the top of the knee pad and the shoulder. Just like that. And another thing I should point out as well is that we did do Black Legion over the inside of the shield, but not the outside. Just whilst we're waiting for all that Karandras Green to dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Sigvald Burgundy and we're going to apply this over the top of the outward shield facing So with that Sigvald Burgundy applied, it's going to seem a little bit weird, but what we are going to do is we're going to add some shades because we need to basically shade all of these colours. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with some Nuln Oil and we're going to apply this over top of all of the black. So with that Nuln Oil all applied, we're then going to take some Warp Lightning. I'm going to use this over the top of our green. And with that Warp Lightning applied, we're then going to take some Flesh Tearers Red. And we're going to apply this over the top of our Sigvald Burgundy. So with that done, our first three colours are now all shaded. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the rest of them. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take some Apothecary White. I'm going to apply this over the top of the skull helm. And with that then done, we're then going to take some Skeleton Horde. I'm going to apply this over the top of all of the parchment. So with all that Skeleton Horde applied, we're going to do something slightly different, and I've seen this done really well on one of the promo images for the old Blade Guard, where the Salamanders Blade Guard has a kind of fiery blackened bones for any shield-based skeletons. So what we're going to do is we're going to replicate that. We're going to be using two colours here, Gryph-Hound Orange and Ratling Grime. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by taking the Ratling Grime and applying this over the top of the bones. So we're just going to start here above the parchment. It's the easiest place to do it. You do want to do this in stages. So we're going to apply this all over, like so. Just like that. Then we're going to wash the brush and grab a little bit of Gryph-Hound Orange. And then, in the recessed areas, we're just going to apply it. So that sort of thing. So with that done, just whilst we're waiting for it to dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Blood Angels Red. I'm going to use this to paint in all of the wax seals on all of our purity seals scattered around the model. So with that done, we've already managed to clear off quite a lot of the Chaplain. However, we've now got the metallics to do. And the first of these is going to be some thinned down Retributor Armour. And we're going to be applying this over most of the remaining details. So we're going to be applying this over the top of all of the trim. Which there is quite a lot. We're going to be applying this over the top of all the little decorative features on his armour, like this skull and things like that. And we're also going to be applying this over the top of the Crozius. So with all that Retributor Armour applied, one thing I forgot to do was, of course, to take some Basilicanum Grey and apply this over the top of the Crux Terminatus. And so with that now done, we're going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors. We're going to apply this over the top of all of our remaining details. Like this. We're also going to apply this over areas that might have already been covered in black, such as all of the power nodes and things on the back of the shield. We're going to apply this over the top of the vents on his back. We've got these little plugs on either side of the helmet, for example. Really anywhere that you want to be silver. So with that done, we've got all of our base coats on our Chaplain. So what we're going to do, going to shade it now, and we're once again going to use some Nuln Oil, and we're going to use this to shade all of the silver details, just like this. And with all that Nuln Oil applied, I want a slightly stronger shading on the gold. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some Guilliman Flesh, rather than Ratling Flesh shade, for example. I'm going to use this all over the top. But you could use Ratling Flesh shade here. I just want it to be a little bit more powerful. So with that done, our chaplain is now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready, and he's looking pretty cool already. However, we're not going to leave him there. Of course not. We're going to take him to the next level, and we're going to do this by adding some highlights. And the first of these is, of course, going to be some thinned down Eshin Grey. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the black. So with that Eshin Grey highlight applied to all of the armour, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Dawnstone. I'm going to use this as a bit of a spot highlight, but also as quite a narrow highlight across the armour. So for example, round here on the back of the body, what we're going to do is we're going to pick out the entirety of the upward facing edges, like that. And then coming down the side, we're only going to do roughly about a third of it. And then similarly towards the bottom. And then across the top of the head, across the top of the body. I'm going to do the whole of the edge. Like that, because it's kind of an edge that would absolutely catch the light. So with all that Dawnstone applied, what we're then going to do is going to take a tiny amount of Administratum Grey. And we're just going to use this to pick out areas like rivets and corners. Just like this. So with that done, all of our black armour is now finished and looking absolutely fantastic. So what we're going to do is move on to all of the green. And the colour we're going to be using to highlight this is some thinned down Moot Green. So with that done, we're then going to take a teeny tiny little bit of Phalanx Yellow. I'm going to apply this over the top of these rivets up here. We're also going to apply this over the top of the sharpest corners of the green. So with that all done, the green is finished. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work on probably one of the most impactful areas here, which is going to be the gold. And the colour we're going to be using to highlight this is some thinned down Liberator Gold. And we are just looking to pick out the edges here, but because we've got that much stronger shading, we're going to really impactful edges now. So I'm just going to pick out all of the edges on all of the gold. So with all that Liberator Gold applied, what we're now going to do is we're going to take a tiny little bit of Blood Angels Red. I'm going to apply this over the eye lenses. And with that Blood Angels Red all applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Corax White. And we're going to use this to highlight the white skull. So with that done, we're going to now take some thinned down Wazdakka Red. I'm going to use this to highlight the red on the shield and on the soft grip of the Crozius. So with that then done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Cadian Fleshtone. I'm going to use this to pick out all the rivets like this, and we're going to use this to highlight our purity seals. So with that done, the red is all finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some Screaming Skull and we're going to use this to highlight all the parchment. And so with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Ironbreaker. I'm going to use this to highlight all of our silver details. I'm just going to start just in here. So with that done, our chaplain is now finished. However, there is one last thing we can do, and this is entirely optional, and that is to take some Cygor Brown and add a little bit of text to all of that parchment, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to take just a tiny little bit of this here, and then over the top of all of his parchment, we're just going to add some little squiggly lines. Just like this sort of thing.
So with the base complete, another Salamander is ready to take to the fields of the 41st millennium and join the Great Crusade. That is Warhipster Towers' Imperial Army. It's quite large now, it's quite unruly. And the Salamanders are one of my favourite additions now. going to be doing a lot more of them, I think, because I think they look really, really cool. I mean, a Chaplain looks always great in his black armor, but the green is just so nice. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.